G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with the finale of FIA Manufacturers Series for 2020. This is the final race in the series, and we are at Tokyo Expressway South Inner Loop this time, the longer of the two South Loops in Group 3, and that means, of course, we are driving the Toyota Supra, and here we go. Have a look at some of the names in here. We've got a couple of the CSTBFO guys, a couple of the guys that are in the Discord that I'm also part of. We've got Fat Furby, Shumi, and Phonon in there, and a few other people we've raced as well in the names of Brian, Twitchy, Tankmaster, Iron Mask, Frithy, Corey, Simonized, and ST Nickel. And here we go for the qualifying session here. So as you can see, gone for the Supra as always. Beautiful multicolored livery, not really quite sure what it's supposed to be. I guess a fox. It says fox on the back in Sony. Interesting. Right, so we're going out for the qualifying session here, and one thing to note with this track, it's a very fast street circuit. Street circuit, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's a street circuit, but it's not a conventional one in streets. It's more on highways and slip lanes and that sort of thing. But we're going to go out for the qualifying session here. We find ourselves up behind Fat Furby, actually. Here we go. This was on the flying lap. He gave me slipstream for a lot of the lap. And then, as you can see, as we caught up to him, he completely just got out of the way for me. Shout out for that as well. Check out his video as well. He's got a channel as well, link it down in the description, check that one out there. But we come across the line, that lap was a 156.3, which puts us in provisional second position there, but we're going to go out for another lap. We've got plenty of time, 10 minutes, and the pit lane is also halfway through the lap, which means your out lap, quote unquote, is only half a lap long. So you probably get an extra lap versus other circuits here. But here we go, we find a nice slipstream train. You need the double slipstream, so you need a car, you need to get into the slipstream of a car that is also in the slipstream of another car. And we're going for a lap here, because otherwise you will catch up to the car ahead if they haven't got slipstream. So we get a nice slipstream for the BMW Blue Zephos here in third position. Coming into turn 2, 3, 4 and 5, the Dockland section. As you can see, we're just lifting off the throttle, braking just after the 150 meter board, second gear. Now the thing with the Supra through here, the back end just wants to slide out, just wants to get away from you. You see we're less than half throttle through a lot of these corners here. Turn 5, out onto the exit, just grazed the wall a little bit, but the slipstream will rescue that time loss. Up towards turn 6, braking just after the 50 meter board, just about where the red stripes start on the road, and then we're heading up the main back straight that's not really a straight, that actually contains multiple turns of the circuit. This is turn 7, this shallow left-hander. Turn 8 is the just flat out right-hander. You can slide into the wall if you're not careful. Now we're heading up towards a very, very fast chicane, turn 9 and turn 10 as you throw it in nice and early. Try not to hit any of the walls. That's a beautiful run through there. Coming up towards the hairpin of turn 11, braking just after the 150 meter board in this car here, and we're taking it nice and slow through here. Try and get onto the power. The Supra wants to slide on the exit there, but we have to control that if we want to get anywhere in this race here. You can see Blue Zephos has caught up to GT Sport Penalty driving the Mazda RX Vision, which actually turns out to be a strong car. I think the low centre of gravity really helps it stick through these fast flowing corners here at the final sector of Tokyo Expressway South Loop. Coming through the final corner, really have to overslow for that corner as it's kind of not very open on the exit. But as we head up towards the line, we're going to cross the line. Let's see, we're still in second position, 156.0, which is actually a half decent lap. And see, it puts us in third position. It's actually not too bad. Top split times are about 1:55.5. But as always with the manufacturing combinations, let's enjoy the beautiful theatrical introduction. how good as always. And that was the final time in the main 2020 official season here in the Manufacturers Series. But we'll meet ourselves on the grid, 3rd position, not a bad start. I'm not quite sure which split this was. It might have even, well, it was at least 2nd split. The top 16 superstars race was occurring at the exact same time. The race started 10 minutes earlier than this one. So all of the top players are going to be in that lobby there, so this may have been 2nd split. So you've got car number 17, so we're fighting well above our weight, so as long as we can kind of remain in a decent position throughout this race, we're going to be achieving what the game thinks that we can, at least. So basically, if we finish 17th or above, our DR will likely increase. So as we start the race here, we've just got to get through lap 1 nice and cleanly. Of course, a rolling start, so that helps keep the cars separated, which is an important factor here at the street circuit. Closing up under braking to the BMW in 2nd position, running quite wide through turn 2 and 3, and then a little bit of a twitch from the BMW as you enter turn 4 and then exit turn 5 here. And we're trying to get a good run through turn 6. We've got the Porsche of codes right behind us as well, so we're going to have to be quite careful through here to ensure we don't lose that slipstream off the BMW up ahead, but we have remained in that slipstream all well and good. Slipstream range is about 7/10 now, and it proved to be a pivotal point of this race as well, the slipstream, as it was really, they've tweaked the slipstream. They've kind of been continually tweaking it from extreme to extreme for about the past year, and they've just never got it right over the last year. Right at the start of the game, I think the slipstream was fine, but now it's almost like, then it went up to 1.5 seconds, it was way too big, and now it's gone back down to 7/10, which is less than it was when the game was released. But then it's also like a switch. It's like if you are, it's not exactly the time I'm giving, but just as an example, if you're 0.700 seconds behind, you have got full slipstream, and then if you're 0.701 seconds behind, you've got no slipstream and you lose 3/10 down a straight. So it's really, I don't know, they really just need to go back. The same can be said for the penalty system as well. It just needs to go back to how it was about a year ago. That was about the best it was ever going to get. The penalty system at the moment is truly awful. But this isn't going to be a video discussing the penalty system. This is going to be a video discussing my progress in the final race of the season here with Toyota. It's been a good season with Toyota. I might choose them again. I don't know. We might venture into other manufacturers. I do very much enjoy driving this Supra. BMW runs very deep. Twitchy, you can see he gets a much better run through there. He's put it on pole position in the Mazda RX Vision. So that's interesting. Well, kind of expected actually. Those sort of VGT low to the ground cars do really well at this circuit, and Blue Zefos gets himself a half-second penalty, and also interestingly he has pulled out enough of a gap from me in order for me to not have slipstream off the back of the BMW there. 1.7 seconds he is ahead of me, and you see we're running side by side nearly with the Porsche through the very, very fast sequence of corners up the back straight here at this circuit here. And I think there was a little bit of contact going through turn 8, but he was not alongside far enough for me to warrant to give him space, to warrant space given for him. Coming into the hairpin, does he go up the inside? No, he keeps it over to the left hand side. I kind of turn in a little bit late to force him to the outside for as long as possible, and as long as we can get onto the power cleanly, we are going to be able to keep this 3rd position here. So having a look up ahead, the gap between myself and Blue Zefos is 1.5 seconds now, so we've caught up to 10ths down the straight there as we hit the wall, coming through the final sector here at Tokyo Expressway. That's never a good thing. We've lost a 10th from doing that, and as long as we can get a good run out onto the straight, hopefully we can ward off any moves going into turn 1. And while we've got our eye on that, we're going to discuss race strategy here. It was a one-stop race. You had medium tyres available. I think there was medium and hard tyres available for the race, but there was no tyre requirement, so you could stay on the softest tyre for the entirety of the race, which I think is it's a nice refreshing change from what we've had. I think Codes hit the wall on the exit of turn 1 there, and I'm just swerving across the circuit to break slipstream, not as a defensive manoeuvre, but just to break slipstream, which I think is the limit of what kind of swerving is allowed. But yes, so it's going to be a one-stop race. A little bit of fuel saving near the start is going to allow the Supra, at least, to not require refueling during said pit stop. You lose about 10 seconds from a pit stop without adding fuel in the car. So if you can avoid that, it's always a good thing, even though the pit lane is very short. But Blue Xephos serves his penalty, and it's very close towards the corner of turn 6, so you're almost slowing down anyway, which means the loss from a penalty is not as... it's not as pronounced as it is maybe at other circuits where the penalty zone is at the start of a very long straight. If the penalty zone at this circuit was just after turn 6 instead, the penalties would be a much more sort of integral part of the race here. We hit the wall going through turn 9, and Codes almost goes up the inside, looking towards turn 11 as we hit our braking point. Codes does go for a bit of a send up the inside. We're side by side to give him plenty of space on the apex of turn 11 there. Just comply with that overtake a little bit, and he makes his way through. So this is going to be the next phase of the race now that we've got past the opening stages and gotten into a bit of a rhythm, if I can speak correctly without completely stuttering my words all over the place. We can now go into a bit of a fuel saving procedure for this race here. So as it stands, full flat out racing for 17 laps, you're probably not quite going to get to the end on fuel, so we're going to save just a little bit. You don't need to save that much in the Supra, but you do need to save a little bit there. You see coming into turn 1, I do not want him to start to go defensive. That will lose us both times, so I stay quite a fair way back and lift off the throttle there. So it was a couple of laps. You can see we've been fuel saving for a couple of laps now. Coming into turn 11 of lap 5 now, I would decide to go for the move past him as we're beginning to enter the pit stop phase of the race now. We're going to start to see some pit stops in a couple of laps time. Take a nice late apex, see the Supra beginning to get a little bit sliding on the exit of that corner there, and the Porsche falls in behind. So we've saved some fuel. Being in the slipstream of that Porsche, of course, we have discussed that before. Being in the slipstream, you can negate any time loss from driving differently for fuel saving compared to when you're on your own. So for example, you can short shift, which means you don't accelerate as quick. However, that is sort of countered by being in the slipstream, which helps you accelerate quicker. So you kind of remain at a similar pace. It's the best way to fuel save. And we're beginning lap 6 now. Our lap times are, actually we set a 1:57.0 there. That's quite a decent race pace lap there. Into turn 1, Codes is very close behind, basically kissing the rear end of the Supra as we head through turn 1, and I take a little bit of a defensive line on the exit of the corner there, just to keep him over to that right hand side and not try to sort of go up the inside. As you can see, the straight kinks a little bit to the left, about halfway down, and it can allow a car to get an advantage if they're on that left hand side of the circuit. And then coming into turn 2 here, we just turn in once again a little bit late, just to keep him on the left hand side, just to stop him from turning in as early as he would like. And then coming into turn 11 of lap 6 now, he sends it down the inside. He completely misses his braking point, goes very deep, and we managed to get the cut back there. So that was a bit of a failed maneuver, failed overtake attempt on me. And heading up the hill, heading up the slip road towards the Acer section, turns 12, 13, 14 and 15. He's looking up the inside there, but he falls in behind just before we go through turn 12 there, and he's a little bit deep through there. Weedsy gets a poor run through this eventual corner here, and then he's on the left hand side for the final corner, which is not ideal, and we see that he loses a little bit of time as we head through the final corner. But on the exit, he's got the slipstream advantage. He's looking up the inside as we race down the main straight towards turn 1 here in Tokyo. He's side by side. I'm going to have to comply with this overtake a little bit. I'll keep it onto the right hand side of the circuit just to give room for the Porsche up the inside there. I don't want to pinch him against the wall here. And then we're going to remain in the slipstream, because I felt at this point here we were a little bit sort of fighting each other, and I kind of wanted to begin to work together to try and catch up to Blue Xephos, who has lost the slipstream of the leader. So I decided, we'll remain behind. We'll just show that, I'm not kind of here to fight for third position when I believe that higher positions are up for grabs, especially because they don't have slipstream. And myself and Codes do have slipstream off each other, so we as a pair will be able to go quicker around the circuit than Xephos, provided that we work together. Heading down the straight, we've got a big gap to Codes now, about 4/10 of a second. We're going to see how much we can gain heading down this straight here, or the flat out section, really the back straight that contains some turns. You can see we're not going into full slipstream for the entire length of the straight, as we don't want to catch up to him too early. We catch up to him at a perfect point here, and we just allow us to sneak up the inside as we head through our turn 10 into turn 11. So run a little bit deep, but managed to stop it. Take a nice smooth line through there, and the Porsche has just got his nose alongside there, almost get hit into that barrier as it kind of jinks out just before we head up the hill. I had to take slight evasive action as I was far too left and I was about to hit the wall. I didn't really want to do that. I ended up giving Codes a little bit of a nudge as I moved over. Apologies for that, but we continue on all the same. About 3/10 or 4/10, I guess, ahead of him at this point. He's going to have my slipstream as we head down the straights here. He's going to be fairly close as we head into turn 1. He's about 2.5 tenths behind. Is he going to be close enough to go for the move? He just sneaks into the radar there. He is not close enough for a move there, but he may be close enough going for a move up into turn 2, into the Dockland section at the opening stanza of this lap. And you can see he's looking up the inside there, and I'll move over to the left to take the left kink, and that Porsche just doesn't have the grunt to sort of complete an overtake on its own using slipstream, so we're going to have to see what happens here at turn 2. He just misses his braking point again and runs deeper, go for a cutback in a similar fashion to what we did at the hairpin a couple of laps ago, and we just get the Supra nice and smooth through here. A little bit of a snap on the exit there and just understeer into that barrier, and then that's going to put me susceptible to an overtake down the straight, provided I mess up turn 6 as well. As we head on the exit of turn 6, however, looking at that gap between myself and Codes, it is just stretched out to 8.5 tenths, which is about 1.5 tenths out of the slipstream range. So we're going to fast forward the rest of this lap and just see. You can see that now Codes has lost the slipstream. I believe that I'm actually faster. He actually goes in for a pit stop, so that's going to be interesting. So prime strategy, 17 laps, so of course half of 17 is 8.5, and seeing as the pit lane is actually halfway through the lap this time, you can pit at exactly at about 8.5 laps throughout the race. And we just slowed down there to have a look at the leaderboard. As you can see, I'm now in first position. Twitchy disconnected 11 seconds in the lead. That is absolutely brutal for him, and I feel really sorry for that. But halfway through this lap, we come in for our pit stop and get absolutely taken out by the Citroen, deciding to show off and slide into the pit lane like an absolute idiot, taking me out. Therefore, I've lost 2 positions as we head into the pit lane. You see Brian, as a result, makes his way out of the pit lane ahead of me. I also did no refueling, so we've lost no time from that. So I'll give him a little bit of flash as we head up the hill as well. Interesting to see, Codes, he is now ahead of me. He got the undercut on me, so I stayed out an extra lap as I felt I could, switch up the strategy a little bit and maybe, split myself between myself and Codes as we were fighting quite heavily. But unfortunately, I think that was the incorrect decision, as we ended up losing too much time on that extra lap on the very worn medium tyres, and Codes therefore has got himself into the lead. He also got himself a penalty, so that's almost going to put us in slipstream range going down the straight. I think we are slightly in slipstream, yes, as you can see the car just begins to get up to speed, and we are in the slipstream of Codes as we head through turn 10 now, heading into the braking zone for turn 11. I'm pretty sure all the pit stops are done by this point in the race, braking on the 150 this time, so we've got that slipstream. And I get a lovely nice punt from behind. I think that was Frithie behind, gave me a massive punt heading in towards the hairpin just as we were beginning to catch Codes, and that just puts me behind GT Sport penalty in the Mazda RX Vision. You can see he actually does get a correct penalty for punting me, 2 seconds. I'm surprised that I didn't get the penalty, as that's what we've been seeing recently in the penalty system. He's now got that penalty he's going to serve on the exit of turn 5, but he is deciding to go up the inside there, so that's just losing us both time. We're not able to take the prime line through turn 1, that's just going to lose us both time, and he's serving a penalty anyway. He's not going to be able to keep this position halfway through the race, and I was a little bit frustrated with him at this point here, where he, punted me. Just give him a little love tap down the straight. I thought that was an accident, I didn't mean to do that. heading into the braking zone. Is he going to try and go around the outside of turns 2, 3 and 4? It's not possible, as you take it as one very long 270 degree right hand turn here, and then we head on through the left of turn 5, and then as we look behind, he's about to serve 2 seconds worth of penalty there at the penalty line, so that's going to put him firmly out of slipstream range at this point here. And you can see at this point here in the race, the gap between myself and the cars ahead and behind are about 1.5 seconds respectively. But we skip ahead, lap 14 now. We've got Frithy, he's caught up in that Aston Martin V12 Vantage, using the V12 power to his advantage down the straight. And he has caught up. Once you get into that slipstream range, about 7 tenths behind, you catch up quite easily. You can see we get a nice wiggle on out of the turn 11 hairpin there and almost slide into the wall. As we head up the hill towards the final Acer section, he's looking up the inside of turn 12. It's not the place to go. He just pulls in behind there. I don't really think he was going to go for that move. He was probably just positioning his car to kind of throw me off a little bit, which is a valid tactic that we use. I've done that before too, and it has worked in some stages, in some occasions rather. Heading onto the main straight, he's quite close, about a 2 tenths behind at this point here, and that V12 is very good down the straight. I've gone defensive. He's looking around the outside here. Let's see who manages to keep this position. Heading into turn 1, he brakes slightly later and just gives me a tap on the way through as I park it on the apex. There's no way up the inside there. Stopped any form of cutback. It's not going to happen. Heading down the straight towards turn 2, he's looking up the inside of the kink, which is going to translate to the outside for turns 2, 3 and 4. Let's see if he's going to be able to hold it around the outside. He wasn't able to do so just before he served his penalty. I braked slightly early, he brakes slightly late. He's out on the marbles on the left hand side, but he manages to keep the car there. I'm going to have to give him room. Heading through here, going to have to be really careful of track limits there to just take a massive wide line through turn 5 as he was up the inside. He actually got himself another 1 second of penalty at some point there. I didn't quite catch where he caught that, but he's going to serve that. But thanks to us fighting, that has just allowed Iron Mask in the Jaguar F-Type just to catch up to us. So that's going to put me under pressure once again from not only Frithy now, but now Iron Mask, who's actually going side by side with me as we head through turn 8, and then as we head up through turn 9 and 10 of the high-speed chicane, Iron Mask just makes his way through there. The grunt of that Jaguar gets him a nice run up the straight there. We're not going to be directly behind him going into the braking zone. We brake slightly later than him. We're going to try and look around the outside, but unfortunately the low grip levels that the Supra has on the tyres at this point in the race doesn't allow us to hold that around the outside, and that's going to demote us into 7th position here. So this is interesting. In the closing stages of the race here, you can see that I've begun to begun to lose pace, rather, if I can once again speak correctly, and we are now falling back in the grid a little bit. So the Supra are struggling on worn tyres, and I think we also went in a lap late. We went in halfway through lap 9 instead of halfway through lap 8, which we probably should have. And you can see that lap, a 1:59.6, not a great lap in the grand scheme of it. You really kind of want to be in the 57s and 58s at the absolute slowest in this kind of lobby here. But hopefully we can kind of remain in the slipstream of Iron Mask, ward off any attacks from Frithy behind, and just allow us to keep 7th position at least. And of course Iron Mask doesn't have slipstream being the leading car in the pack, so that could perhaps put him susceptible to an overtake by me. But as we head through turn 2, Frithy has just made his way up the inside through there, so the roles are reversed. However, he manages to get his way through, muscle his way through in that Aston Martin, which is proving to be a superior car here around this circuit. I don't feel like the Supra is exactly suited to this style of circuit. As you can see, Frithy hits the wall on the exit of turn 6 as well, so that's just going to allow us to grab his slipstream down the straight, as he was quite close to breaking it as we head down through turn 7 and turn 8 once again. Be careful not to sort of understeer into the wall if you turn too hard. That is also a thing to do. Looking up the inside for turn 9, he just pulls in ahead, not allowing us to make our way up the inside there as we head up towards the hairpin of turn 11. He's over on the right hand side of the circuit, going a little bit defensive. We just remained behind at this portion of the race here. We probably could have gone up the inside there, to be honest. We were close enough to kind of put on a late braking manoeuvre, but I think at this point I did not have confidence in the tyres in order to go for those kind of sort of optimistic moves. As you can see, coming in towards the final sector of the 16th time out of 17. You can see our tyres at this point are quite worn, quite a lot of red, especially on that front left, which has about 35 to 40% tyre wear, which is quite high, especially in a track that is very much grip dependent. As we head through the final corner onto the main straight to begin the final lap, he's very close to breaking that slipstream. Frithie is up ahead, about 6 tenths behind, about 1 more tenth, and we will have lost the slipstream of him. So if we get a poor run through turn 1, and we actually have at this point braking a little bit too late, and you see on the exit 7.5, 8 tenths behind, he has broken slipstream. We are not going to be able to keep up, as he has also continued. He's continuing to get the slipstream off Ironmask there, and ultimately at the end of the race, it was a slightly disappointing 8th position, if I'm honest. Qualifying 3rd, falling down to 8th throughout the race. We did have a couple of incidents there, going into the pit lane and getting punted by Frithie going into turn 11, and that will have lost us a little bit of time, perhaps the exact amount of time I would have needed in order not to be overtaken by the pair that finished ahead of me in Ironmask and Frithie in 6th and 7th position. But overall, I'm happy with that. Happy with that result, I guess. A good chunk of points for Toyota, and it was the last race of the season as well. Fastest driver for Toyota. Could be worse, I guess, but it could be a lot better as well. Falling down the pack is never a good thing to do. Shout out to Fat Furby as well, finishing 11th after starting 17th. Very good result from him. Do check out his video once again. But that's going to wrap up this one. I'm happy with that Manufacturers Series, looking forward to the Exhibition Series. You may have noticed throughout that video though that my throttle input was kind of all over the place a little bit. If you're looking at that maybe on corner exit, you can see it was like flickering between 50 and 100% at some point, so I'm going to have to get that fixed at some point. The wheel is still under warranty, so I will be able to get that fixed free of charge, but hopefully we can sort that out before the Exhibition Series and have another good run for a manufacturer. Who knows what we'll pick. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, all very much appreciated. I will read them all and answer as many as I can. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.